Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Awakening Her podcast. How are you doing, my love? I hope you're feeling well. I hope you're hydrated. I hope you're rested. And as always, no matter how you're feeling, you are absolutely welcome here because I know that I feel like every day I'm pretty much a new person. And it changes throughout the day. So however you are right now in this very moment, I see you and you're welcome here. So this episode is for the ones who are here to create something powerful, the homies, my spiritual running buddies, the ones who are deeply driven and sometimes feel stuck in a push-pull, stuck in efforting, wondering what we need to do to move forward. So we are talking about how alignment is the new hustle and how your energy is actually your greatest strategy. So why alignment will trump hustle every single time, why it's more important, but also how to balance the physically taking action, the physical plan with making sure that your energy is on point as well. So we're going to talk about how that all blends in and how to make sense of it. And if you've ever wondered why sometimes you notice that you can work really hard on something and see very little or very few results, but other times it feels like things come in effortlessly, this is going to hit home. This is going to help to make sense of it. And I want to offer a very fun random fact that I don't think any other human knows. My husband may remember this vaguely, but when I created this podcast 4 years ago, it was going to be called Alignment is the New Hustle. I even have a tank top that I got made that I put it on there, not necessarily for the podcast, but it was because it was something that was such a theme at that time. And that's a random fact that this podcast was almost called that. And it's a fact that you'll never really need in life, but you can feel special knowing it. So we're going to talk about what alignment truly means beyond the buzzword, why hustling is harder, and why when you're misaligned, it can feel like you're just hitting a wall. We're going to talk about too how to shift your energy to make it feel more clear, to make yourself and to have yourself feel more aligned. And I'm going to share what I personally do when I feel off, because it is a balance. We have these physical strategies. But then when we are thrown off, when things are spiraling, when we're emotional, we need to know how to bring ourselves back or how to navigate ourselves and not just keep pushing harder, keep pushing through. When something's not working, instead of scrambling to try to figure it out, to try to do the right steps, to do the right things, we need to pull back. We need to actually ask, is this truly in alignment with my goals, with my next level? So I'm going to share what I personally do when I feel off and when I need to bring myself back. This is also how I teach my clients and how I really see that we can move through this stuff and get back into this mystical, magical alignment that we hear about. So if you're ready, let's do this. Let's dive into the episode. Grab your tea, grab your coffee, grab your apple cider vinegar water, and let's get into it. Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome to the Awakening Her podcast. I am so grateful that you've been led here, and I'm so excited for you that you're answering the call to manifest more magic in your life. My name is Talia Joy, and I am committed to showing you exactly how to manifest more excitement, ease, success, abundance, confidence, love, and anything else you've been craving. So if you're ready to go on a magical journey of spiritual and self-growth to manifest the life you're meant for, we are now besties. Let's dive in. Okay, I want to start with how when we have a goal, we jump straight into strategy, right? What should I do? And this is very human, very normal. My clients have this, right? They want to get healthier. They're building businesses. They want to feel better in their life. They want to get into more alignment. So we immediately say, what do I do? What should I do? right? We want to get healthier. What diet should I do? We want to make more money. Where should I invest? What is the best way to get there? What are the right steps? And I've had some clients that have identified they feel like that. They're searching for the right steps, whereas other people kind of feel more flaily or confused because there's so many options on what to do and I have no idea what the right step is, what I should do. I can see myself in all of those situations. So if you can too, you're in this with me. So while strategy matters, it is never more important at the tippy top of the pyramid. It is never more important than who you are being while you're taking that action. When your energy is off, when you're operating from force, when you're operating from hustle, from stress, from doubt, from exhaustion, from scarcity, it doesn't matter how perfect the plan is. It won't flow. It won't land. It won't create the results you want. And this can get so subtle that I'll just share a short story. In the beginning of my business, I'm sending out emails and I'm like trying to figure out life and business and all this stuff, like probably close to 10 years ago. And I'm sending out emails and I'm thinking, what should I write for people to join this program? So I'm kind of like, almost the energy of like, do you find yourself blah, blah, blah? Well, in this 5-step process. And I'm thinking like, what should I do, right? Like what sells? So I'd be crafting these emails that probably felt awkward as hell, but they also aren't landing. And so I'm kind of looking out there to try to find the strategy, but who I am being is what people feel. And I remember, I learned so much about business. I had business coaches, I was taking courses, all this stuff. And one time, I don't even remember how, if it came from my team or a coach, I don't remember. But I remember learning that who I am being while I'm writing the email is what my people will feel, will determine the results. And I'm going, no, but what about the words I'm writing? And they're like, yeah, the words you're writing are important, but it's who you're being is what they will feel. So if I'm being scrambly in a business, if I'm like, what will get clients, like I'm catching them with a net or something, people feel that. You see marketing all the time that feels pushy, that feels weird. It's because behind the screen, that person is feeling pushy and weird. They're trying to get you. They're trying to convince you. They're trying to break down your pain points and barriers. So when you're trying to get clients will feel like they're trying to be got. I know that's not proper English, but you get what I'm saying. Strategy is important. When we have goals, that masculine energy of strategy, of steps, it is important. But always who you're being will be the most important. Another great example is when I was in my eating disorder and I was working out all the time and I was restricting my food and I was calculating everything. In some people's eyes, if I'm working out every day, some days twice, that's a good thing. If I'm eating nothing but whole foods, that's a good thing. That's the path to health, right? How do you get healthy? You eat whole foods, you exercise, that's great. But who I was being, I hated myself. I was so uncomfortable. I was numbing constantly. I was so hard on myself and mean to myself. That was not aligned health. So now, healed after over a decade of being healed or healing, being in that, being in the light, not suffering with that anymore, I can now work out every day. I can now eat whole foods, but who I am being is love, is flexibility, is grace, is compassion, is rooting myself on. So you can be at the gym every day from hate for yourself or love for yourself. And that's what we're really talking about, how alignment and your energy is the real strategy. No matter how perfect the plan is, if you're coming from a place of hating yourself, of forcing yourself, maybe it's just like, I need to reach 10K months, 20K months in my business. What do I do? What's the plan? It's not going to flow. But when your energy becomes more clear, when you are aligned, and I'll get more into, again, more sort of definition, when you are aligned, when you are on point, your strategy becomes more obvious. It reveals itself because you follow alignment. The next step feels natural. It feels right. It either just almost falls in your lap, or even when you're efforting, it feels right. When I started this podcast, it was like I had to. I got the download, I got the idea, I saw it, and it was like, oh my goodness, a door just opened. And it wasn't easy from the beginning, but I worked hard and it felt so exciting and so right. And this is why alignment trumps hustle. Alignment isn't just a mystical concept. It's real, it's tangible, and it's a state that you are in. It's actions you take, it's who you be, and it is what ultimately shapes your life. So I want you to imagine that there are two sections within you. One side is warm fuzzies, and one side, go with me, is cold pricklies, okay? So everything in life, everything we interact with either gives you warm fuzzies or gives you cold pricklies. So very quick example, when I am in the forest, when I'm in nature, warm fuzzies, everything in my body is like, yes, 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 I just want to be here and live here and dwell here and breathe in the air, yes. But when I go to a very busy city, I start to feel constricted. It feels heavy. It's a cold, prickly feeling. So if I'm going to a city for something, of course I can, and I can get through it, and I'm having fun, but my body feels just that much constricted. So when I go to the city and then I come back to my island, I come back to my nature space, my body goes, and I go back into warm fuzzies, right? Again, just go with me, trust me here. But there are people I've met that would not want to live out in nature where it's dark and there's, everything closes at 6 and you're basically out in the bush. I also know people that the thought of living on an island, which I live on, gives them the biggest cold prickly feeling. Like, no, right? So it's not about right or wrong. It's about acknowledging that within you, some things click and some things don't. And I believe, to put a little bit of a spiritual twinkle on it or sparkle on it, I believe it's because some things are in alignment with your higher path, your higher self. It's like these things aid in and are stepping stones and elements of your best life. And these things aren't. So there's some people you meet where conversation's awkward and you're kind of awkward. You're like, why did I say that? And what do I do with my hands? And then there's other people you meet and the conversation's just flowing and, you're laughing. And I know people I meet that I say something a little bit weird and then they say something that's like even weirder. And I'm like, oh my God, you're my people. It just flows. Some people are in alignment with you and your energy, and some people aren't. Different food, different movies, locations that you go to. Some people love Hawaii. Some people don't like Hawaii. Some people love Japan. Some people don't like, some things are in alignment with you. Some things give you warm fuzzies, and some things give you cold pricklies. If you were dating, if you were meeting new friends, some people you click with and some people you don't. And it's not about wrong or bad or good or whatever. It's about you. What clicks with you? So this is kind of the base of alignment and tuning into a life. Like when I say living in alignment with your best life, living in alignment with your goals, these are the things we're talking about. So if you wanted to get healthier, your path to health via alignment or being aware of alignment is going to be different than your bestie, going to be different than your neighbor, going to be different than me. And it's because your path is your path. So if I were to ask you what feels in alignment with your higher health or with the you who is 6 months down the road that has really, become much healthier, and we just look at what feels in alignment. Okay, that version of me, they're drinking water, they're walking, they're doing yoga, whereas someone else is like, oh, that version of me has just detoxed and they lift weights and they do CrossFit, whereas somebody else is like, oh, that version of me is meditating every day. So it's, again, your path of alignment is different. But that's where we start to go. What is that, or who is that next level me? Who are they? How do they think? How do they be? What are they whispering for me for the paths to follow? That's where we find our alignment. So when your energy is off, when you're operating from stress, when you're operating from cold prickly, or you're doing things that make you feel cold prickly, It doesn't matter how perfect the plan is or how good it looks, it won't flow, it won't land, it won't feel good. So when we're staying in a job that is cold prickly times 100, because it might give us a pension or because this is the reliable thing to do, it feels almost like a slow death inside because it doesn't flow, it doesn't land. And it doesn't mean everybody has to have their own business or everybody should be a painter or something we imagine is just like, oh, this is perfect. You could have a job in your field in an office that feels better, where you may not be like overly passionate, but like it works. You love your coworkers, you're doing something, you don't mind for the payoff doing that job. It's not this 10 out of 10 miracle everything, but there are things that click and there are things that don't click. And I've seen clients many times like almost have this visceral reaction, this hate for their job. And it's not always the industry. It's that office, it's that boss, it's that company. And then they take like a new job in sort of an adjacent career or area that's similar, and the whole thing changes. Like, oh my goodness, I don't mind going into work, and I met this person who's now becoming a friend, and I love what this company's doing. So some things click and some don't. And when it's really off, just being aware this may not be the path to my next level of income, joy, healing, because that cold, prickly contrast feeling is telling you something. It's telling you that this isn't your highest path. But when you follow the path of alignment, and as you follow that path, things become more clear. Things coincide, coincidences. Things become more obvious. Your strategy becomes more obvious. So those physical steps you're looking for become more obvious. So if you're looking to be in higher health and you inquire, what does my next level version do? And you're like, oh, they're eating more like whole foods. And then you start thinking, that Buddha bowl I used to make, or, oh yeah, I used to make, this pesto sauce and I put it with chicken, like, oh yeah. And the physical tangible comes forward. And then you start eating that way a little bit more and you start walking a little bit more and you're like, oh my goodness, this feels so good. And then you go, you know what? I'm going to track my steps because that's really motivating. Oh my goodness, walking is so amazing. And your path becomes clear. But it's not at the starting point where we go, what do I do? Right? That's not where we discover our alignment. We discover our alignment by following those breadcrumbs, following that path of the things that we feel inspired to do, or the things that we're like, oh yeah, I used to do that. That was fun. Follow those things that feel warm, fuzzy. And your next step starts to become more natural. You start tapping into a state where, yes, you're efforting, like to go out for a walk every day is effort, but it feels good. Versus if you go to CrossFit and you actually hate it. Like, don't do that, right? If you hate riding a bike, don't force yourself. But if you love yoga and you feel so good doing it, that's part of your alignment path. So again, what's in alignment for you is unique. Some things click, some things feel like you're forcing it. Some people feel natural to be around, others feel awkward and heavy. So your job is not to force into someone else's version or vision of alignment. If your parents have said, you know what you should do, or what other people are doing, it's time to start tuning into your own alignment, asking yourself, what feels good? What feels true? What feels like home? What are things that light you up, that give you warm fuzzies? What feels off right now? What feels like you're pushing something uphill? Alignment isn't about looking out there for the answer. It's about checking in here. So what I do when I'm feeling off, and I know this firsthand, I've actually been going through a very weird time in real time. Everybody's fine. Everyone in the family's fine. It's internal. It's growth. It's heavy. It's weird. It's mushy. And so there's often times right now where I am moving forward and I also feel off. And sometimes when I'm working on something, when I'm trying hard to make something happen and I feel like it's never working. It's no matter how much effort I do, it doesn't feel like it's working. Whether it's my health or it's my own regulation of emotions, my healing, my business, whatever. If I'm working on something and I'm trying to make it happen and I'm just it's not moving forward, and it starts to get frustrating. I notice that it feels like I hit a wall. It feels like ideas stop flowing. The results slow down. It feels like nothing clicks. And every single time I find myself initially just wanting to push through, wanting to crack the code, wanting to figure out the plan. I want to keep hustling, thinking that if I work harder and force it more, it's somehow going to work. But that's not the vibe, right? If you even think law of attraction, if I force this, then ease is going to come. Like, that's not how it works. So what I've learned and what I practice now is when I feel off, the last thing that I realize now that I should be doing is trying to force the strategy. So very real-time example, the day I'm recording this, literally yesterday was supposed to be a recording day. And it was not a good day. Again, it was just emotional. It was heavy. I was sad. I was weepy. I was, just feeling like starseed woes and empath woes and self-growth woes and all the things. I was a mix of emotional and heavy and just stuff. I was not in the state to record. So yesterday I was going to, but then my husband's like, why don't you just have a bath? He said the magical word bath, right? He's like, why don't you just have a bath and relax? And tomorrow, you can have time to record what you were going to record. And I was like, yes, this is exactly what I need to do. Energy needs to be the priority. We stop, we get our energy back on board. And when we're ready, we do come back to the physical strategy. But first, what we do when we're feeling off, take a step back. I try to give back to myself. And I always start with my body, because when I'm feeling heavy, or even if it's agitated or more just frustrated or whatever, I shake it out. But yesterday it was more emotional. So I was hugging myself. I was letting myself cry. I was just letting myself be. And so what I do when I start feeling off, really off, instead of trying to push forward and going no, but I do have to record, or no, I should just go to the gym. It's stop, give back to yourself, reset the nervous system, give yourself space. Just go back to your energy. So if I can describe this probably even more clear, we're going about our strategy, right? Our making money strategy, our, health plan. We're going on and we're good. We're in our zone. And then all of a sudden something hits, a trigger, emotional. We get frustrated. We feel defeated. Immediately step back from the strategy. That is your first signal. Okay, we switch into energy is my priority. Okay, take a step back. What do I need? Am I overwhelmed? Do I need the day off? Do I need more pleasure and joy in my life? Do I need to eat? Am I hangry? Do I need a bath with Epsom salts? What do I need right now? Not to speed through it, but as a caring, loving person to yourself. We go, okay, I'm not feeling good right now. What do I need? Hand on heart, take a few deep breaths, give yourself space. And my entire day ended up being crying, a bath, being mellow, watching a movie with my kids because I'm just wanted to lay there and spend time with them and do not a lot of productive things. But that's what we needed. That's what I needed. So instead of pushing forward, create space. Pushing forward will cause more resistance. And then the email won't work and the thing you were going to do and it's all awkward. Just take it off your plate for a moment. Pause, recalibrate. Come back into the energy and realize that when you're in the right energy, the strategy happens much easier. When I'm on it, when I'm just jazzed on life, I'm writing emails like it's no problem. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It's fun. But if I'm not feeling good, recording doesn't flow, emails, nothing works, right? And I'm just talking about my business, but in every area of life, if I'm not feeling good, I have to first look after myself and go, what's going on? And then when I give myself that space, sometimes it's a day, sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's a week, take the space, and then the ideas start to return. The path forward becomes clear. I'm not going to force a workout when I just want to cry. That's when I need a bath. That's when I need to chill. Maybe a slow walk in nature, but it's coming again from what do I need, not from, oh, it's the plan. So if you're saving money and you've got a plan, a savings plan, and you're sticking to it, and all of a sudden you go off the rails or you spend more than you intended, don't spiral, stop, take all the pressure off, reorient and go, okay, what happened? What went wrong? Do I need to allot more? Is there something like impulse spending I can be aware of? Just don't pressure and be like, crap, I'm messing it up. Never mind, right? All or nothing. No, we immediately take the pressure off, analyze the situation and go, okay, what happened? And then self-forgiveness, self-compassion. And then once our energy is right, we get back into the strategy. We're like, okay, we need to adjust a little and give a little bit more money for free spending money, or I need to tighten up on some of the Starbuckses or whatever, then come back into the strategy with your energy in the right place. And then you're stoked to be saving again and you're on top of your accounts and the ideas return, the quote unquote motivation returns, and it all starts to flow. Success isn't just every single day more. Success is coming back. Success is finding your way back home, back into alignment. Alignment first, then action, always. So as I wrap up, I want to talk about how to get into alignment with your goals, with your higher timeline. We can think about the you in 3 months when you've been really showing up for yourself, or the best self, the higher self, the you in 1 year, whatever you want to picture. Picture just that next version. That's what we talk about with higher timeline. Like you've moved forward, you're feeling better, you've experienced results in some way, you're feeling more peaceful or you're more abundant. That's what people would call a higher timeline. It's kind of like the good outcome in the future, right? So when we go, okay, how do I get in alignment with that? You look at that version of you, as we already touched on, and you start to go, okay, what types of things do they do? Do they try? What is their strategy? What are the actions they're taking? But we also look at how they are being physically, how they are being mentally, how they're being emotionally, spiritually. And this is how we start to get in alignment with our goals and with our higher timeline, with our next level. So we're going to ask ourselves, and I'll put this in the show notes for you. I want you to think about that version of you in the future. Call them whatever you want. They might have a name. It might be higher self, best self, next level self, whatever you want. And I want you to think physically, who do they be? Physically, do they move their body? Do they prioritize rest? Do they nourish their body with what? What do they nourish their body with? What is the food that they eat? What about hydration, nervous system? As I said, rest, physically. And I want you to think about the goals you have in your life, even if those goals are to be the CEO or to start a family or to become more happy and joyful. Who do you physically be in that next level? How do you move your body? How do you get rest? What's important to you physically? How connected are you to your body and your whole physical aspect? And then we want to think mentally, that version of you. How do they clear the overthinking? How do they speak to themselves in their mind? Mentally, where are they at? Do they believe in their goals? What are their looping thoughts? How do they think about their future? When they think about goals, do they go, oh, that probably won't work? Or do they go, imagine if that happened? It would be so fun. There must be a way. Mentally, where are their thoughts at? Do they journal? Do they have a coach or a mentor? Do they go to therapy? How do they speak to themselves? Just all those things. And there's no right or wrong. This is you at your next level. And when you act in accordance to that now, you start to be in alignment with those goals. So we did physically, mentally. Next is emotionally. How do they feel? What types of feelings do they have dominantly? How do they regulate their emotions? How do they shift their state from stress into more peace? And again, what types of emotions do they carry dominantly, like joy, openness, peace, optimism? What types of emotions do they embody? And emotionally, when they start to feel off, when they start to feel heavy, what do? Is it about timing out and spending some time by yourself, crying, having a bath? Is it talking to a friend? Is it going back to therapy? Is it confiding or, like venting, sharing, crying to your husband, your wife? What do they do emotionally to support themselves? And then also thinking spiritually. How does that version of you connect with their source, their spirit? How in touch are they with their soul or the bigger aspects of life? And if you don't relate or resonate with spirituality, you can totally leave this out. But I like to think of how does that version of me connect to their intuition, connect to their guides, connect to their spirit or their soul. So spiritually, who do they be? And do they have any practices? Like, do they pray? Do they do gratitude? Do they pull cards? Do they go to church? What is that relationship to life, to higher consciousness, to one mind, to source? And how do they connect with that if they do? Okay, so quick recap there. How to know if you're in alignment or how to get in alignment with your goals and your higher timeline is to, number one, physically check in. How does that version of you be physically? But I would suggest resetting your body, moving, stretching, doing those things that version of you does. Prioritizing rest, giving yourself permission to pause, nourishing yourself, hydration, deep breaths, all of that physically, mentally. Clearing the overthinking, journaling, confiding, working it out, mentally cheering yourself on, trying to be optimistic, looking at those limiting beliefs and asking what types of beliefs does that next level version of you have? Mentally, what do you do when you start to spiral? What do you do to keep yourself mentally well? Also emotionally, regulating your energy, tuning into how you feel, inquiring to how that version of you feels. Are they more optimistic, joyful, open? How can you start to embody more of that? Maybe shifting your state with music, movement, fresh air, being aware. How do I emotionally regulate myself in that next level? How can I breathe through it to get back into a better feeling place? And then spiritually, aligning with your higher self, aligning with your higher timeline, doing the types of practices that version of you does, if they do, connecting to that higher consciousness, that greater perspective, and knowing that through this is where you gain your next steps. Out of everything I just said, what stuck out? If you wrote all that down, like for your own answers, you could start by doing any one of those things and know that you are in alignment. That's your plan, baby. That's your plan. Okay, so I want to leave you with this. Alignment is your power. It's not about having everything figured out or finding, knowing, uncovering the perfect strategy. It's about awareness and knowing when you are in alignment with your higher timeline, with your true self, with your authentic self, with your warm fuzzies, with what feels right. And when you are in alignment, everything you desire is energetically on the way to you. That next level version. It's just when you can't see it, it's hard to trust in that. But if you start to put more of your energy, no matter where you're at, if you put more of your energy into true alignment, you will notice coinciding events, synchronicities. You don't need to chase it. You don't need to push for it. Seek alignment and the path starts to open. You are already worthy of everything you're dreaming of. And your next level isn't some far off place. It's right here, right now, waiting for you to step into it. So take a deep breath, trust yourself, trust your process, be in tune with that next level you, inquiring into what they do, allowing that to be your path, that to unlock your magnetism, your next step. Okay, my love, you are more than ready for alignment. Go out, get that dream life, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I want you to take a second to put your hand on your heart and maybe even take a deep breath and take in everything that was talked about today that resonated with you. Invite it into your cells, invite it into your mind and into your energy as you upgrade your life. It was a pleasure connecting with you in this episode. If you want more, come find me on Instagram at Talia Joy Manifestation, and I'll see you in the next episode. Sending you so much love.